When I say the human spirit cannot invest itself in compromise, it brings, we all need to ask ourselves a question. Are you really and truly living the life that you want? Or are you living some rendition or some version of a compromise that you have made on your life that you have decided is acceptable? Because a lot of times the discontent in our lives is not necessarily that our lives are bad. It's that we're living a life that we did not want. We do not want. We did not choose. If you're not living the actual life that you want, doing what you want, going where you want, pursuing the dreams that you had in your head, if you're not doing that, that means you're living some version of a compromise. And the truth of the matter is your soul knows, and that's why your soul cannot invest itself in a compromise. Your soul cannot invest itself in less than what it truly wants. You may accept it, but once again, your heart and your soul can never be in it. And we see it all around us all the time. People make these compromises of their lives, and they try to convince, in fact, first of all, they convince everybody else around them that this is what they truly want. They settle for things. They settle for the job. They settle for the relationship. They settle for the social status, where deep down inside, they are under pressure. They are unhappy. They're discontent because they understand that they're making a compromise. They're having to settle for less than what they know that they're worth, know that they are capable of. And a lot of times people do that just because they're simply unwilling to put in the work, simply unwilling to take the chance, simply unwilling to take the risk. But there's a part of their body that understands that we could probably do this, but we're just, once again, unwilling. There's a quote I always talk about. It says, the tragedy of life is not that it ends too soon, is that it never begins. How many of us are just passing time? Because if you're living a compromise of a life, that's exactly what you're doing. You're just passing time. That's all it is. You're just passing time. It's like Groundhog Day. Every Tuesday is the same thing. You're not looking forward to anything. Why? Because you're not doing anything that's moving you closer to your dreams. You're passing time. And even sometimes people invest themselves in little things, little projects, little things here and there. And that's basically to pass the time, to make ourselves feel better about what it is that we're doing or not doing. But at day's end, it is some rendition of a compromise. So once again, passing time. And it shows up in many different ways. I remember a very pivotal conversation I had with a young lady a couple months ago. And she was a dancer, And in talking to her, I asked her, why don't you dance anymore? And I noticed the look on her face. It was kind of a deflated kind of look. And she said, well, I had an opportunity to dance professionally in New York. But between fear and anxiety, I didn't show up for my audition. And so that's why I never danced professionally. But then she kind of perked up and said, but I teach now, and I love my students and all that kind of stuff like that. And right in that moment, I understood that exactly what a compromise looks like. Her soul wanted to the experience of dancing professionally, but now she has convinced herself that teaching filled that void. She basically had to pep talk herself mentally every single day to go and teach, even though that is not what she wanted. And I remember saying to her, I said, if you don't pursue that dream, first I asked her, when are you going to New York to try out? When are you going to New York to audition? She said, well, I'm too old now. And I remember saying to her, Says who? She says, well, most dancers age out after a point in time. No one, they're not 31-year-old dancers. And I looked at her, I said, but you're not most dancers, are you? You're you. And she said, well, that's true. I said, so when are you going? And she tried to give me another excuse. And I said, look, I can look in your face when you talk about dancing and see the level of regret that you have on your face for not going. And if you delude yourself to think that time is going to make that go away, imagine it times 3. I say you still have an opportunity to go. You still have an opportunity to chase your dream. You still have an opportunity to satisfy your soul by going after your highest calling. And if you don't do that, you will regret it for the rest of your life. I said, but let's quantify that. Why do you believe that you can't? She says, well, like I said, I'm too old. I said, well, what's the difference between you now and you when you were 21? Would you say right now that you would be a better dancer because you're more experienced? She said, yes. I said, would you believe that a lot of the things that you thought were important, you've learned a lot since that time? She said, yeah. I said, what about physically? Have you changed physically? She said, well, yeah, I'm stronger now. I said, so you just gave me 3 reasons why you were a better dancer 10 years later than you were 10 years before. So why is it again that you won't go? And as I started to talk to her, you start to see her confidence start to build. And just the prospect of having the opportunity to chase her dreams. You saw her shoulders go back. She perked up a little bit. But then I also warned her. I said, look, do this as well. When you go, you have to leave it all on the table. And that is the biggest mistake a lot of people make when they actually think that they decide to go for their dreams. A lot of people go for their dreams. They try to steal second with one foot on first. They don't go all in. If you're going to pursue your dreams, you got to go for it. Stop being afraid to fail. Stop being afraid to come up short. If you're going to go for your dream, you have to go for your absolute highest calling and give it everything you got. Because once again, if you don't do that, your soul knows. Your soul knows you did not prepare. Your soul knows you short-armed it. Your soul knows, even though you got on the biggest stage, that you did not perform the best you could because you stopped you. Your soul knows that. I have yet to meet a person in my lifetime who has truly gone for their dreams, win, lose, or draw, that wasn't content with their life. If you want to have a great conversation with someone, meet somebody who's about 70, 80 years old, right? Who didn't make it, but went for it. It's a fantastic conversation. Because you realize that life is truly about the pursuit. Life is truly about your dreams. Life is not about the wins. It's about the journey. Life is not about the destination. But those people who have truly gone for what they want have lived a fullness of life that most people would never understand. And so, for this Monday, I want to ask that question. Are you living a compromise? And if you are living a compromise, when are you going to stop? Because every day you spend living this compromise, living this rendition, is a day that you waste, is a day that you do not get back. It's a day that you could actually be living the life you truly want. Is it going to be easy? No. Sometimes we have hooks in us that have tied us down, so we think. But living the life of your dream is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be fulfilling. Going after your dream, there is no guarantee that you will attain it. But like I said, goals are not about achieving them. It's about what the goal does to you when you go for it. Because if we're not doing that, once again, we're living a compromise. And if you're compromising your life, you will never be happy. You will never be content. You will never be fulfilled. You will always know that something is missing. Living a compromise of a life is like going to a restaurant and knowing you want a particular dish, and and you get served something different. But the worst part about that is sitting in that same restaurant and seeing other people get served the dish you want because they took the chance and actually went to the back and got it for themselves. That's life, my friends. A lot of times people see people living the lives that they want. People who probably have less talent, less ability, more issues. The only reason why those people are able to do it and you can't and you haven't is because they're willing to bet. They're willing to gander. They're willing to risk. And you aren't, or you weren't. Your soul cannot invest itself in that. So think about that this Monday, guys. Go after your dreams. Because at the end of the day, that's all we have. All right? Go after your highest self. Because at the end of the day, that's all we have. Go after something that fills your soul and not just your pocket. Because it's that rich. It's that prize. It's that trinket that you will actually take with you, and no one can take it from you. Money comes and goes. Fulfillment, satisfaction, doesn't have a price tag on it. Whatever that dream is, run it down. Happy Monday, guys.